Oh, yeah, music to my ears. Son of a gun. Hello again, everybody. Lance Russell and Dave Brown, and we're right along ringside all ready to kick it off for another big day.
The announcers on this program are selected and paid by parties other than this station, namely the promoters of Championship Wrestling.
Just waiting for more people to come and be a part of the chat. So it'll be a few minutes. I bet you enjoy this classic bit of Memphis wrestling goodness that is the opening theme for the show.
Oh, yeah, music to my ears. Son of a gun. Hello again, everybody. Lance Russell and Dave Brown, and we're right along ringside all ready to
Hey, everybody,
kick
this is
off for
Glenn
another
Moore,
big day.
and I am live on the Dinner with the King YouTube channel for a live video chat. I think this is the second one that we've done here. Maybe want to make this maybe a weekly thing, maybe a little bit of a monthly thing. The last one we did, well, I did. King is not the most tech savvy kind of guy, so I'll be hosting these maybe once a week with you guys to talk wrestling, talk life, sports, anything you want to talk about. You can jump in the chat room on the right-hand side of the screen for those who are watching. And I think you need a YouTube account or a Google account to be a part of the chat. I see a lot of people in there already. If you're in there, don't be shy. This is not just a look at Glenn and stare at the screen. This is an interactive show, a video podcast of sorts, a live video show here on the Dinner with the King YouTube channel. I know we have thousands of people who follow the YouTube channel for Dinner with the King. A lot of people I talk to in the chat and the comments section of videos that we post. And if you are new to the YouTube channel here for Dinner with the King, I post full shows so you can listen to on YouTube. And I also post clips of maybe notable topics that King and I talk about during the show. There's hundreds of clips that you just want to listen to a certain clip, or you just want to listen to a playlist of a certain, the whole show, or of the best of, is what I like to call it. You can just hit the play button and you're at work, working out, whatever, and be entertained by some of the best of clips. We have, full Terry Funk interviews, Jim Cornette clips. We've had some other clips that have gone viral in the last couple of weeks, including Jerry talking about Vince crying. So, like I said, jump in the chat room, be a part of this live Dinner with the King show. And this is all about you guys. So jump in the chat room. Gregory Yellow, Steve Rogers, thanks for jumping in there. Chris Crawford, like the shirt, sporting my Browns hoodie here on the show today. Simply Deep, what's up? Saber, and we're back. Yes, we are. Steve Rogers again. JP Diamond, hello. So make sure to check out JP's Hot Track with JP. Be sure to check that out. Just search JP Diamond, search Hot Tracks. And if you want to listen to maybe some cool songs when you're out and about, he puts his own little radio show together. So support JP Diamond. Andy, music drummer, Tomas, and Tim and Dustin, all in the chat room. If you're in there, make sure to jump in there. I think, like I said, I think you need a Google account or a YouTube account to comment. The super chat, I'm not sure what that is. I think for the more people who get, I watch some YouTube streams and people get, hundreds of thousands of people watching, and then the chat room is just constantly scrolling and you can't even read. So I think the super chat is a paid thing where if you want to get your comment read or more of a, you get more attention, you can do a super chat. Okay. Thank you, Music Drummer. Appreciate it. I'm not hip to the YouTube game. I'm not too hip. How's the audio? Audio A-okay. I'm using the mic here with the little mixer I use for the actual Dinner with the King podcast. Audio coming in crystal clear on your end. I'm going to turn it up, turn it down. Let me know in the chat room. Audio is perfect. Thank you. That's what I like to hear. Audio is perfect. I'm a big audio guy. If the audio is crap, I don't care what the content is. I'm not going to listen. Stone Cold Steve Austin could be interviewing the King for an hour, talking classic Memphis wrestling. And if the audio sucks, I'm not going to listen. Sabretooth fan. I actually put flowers out on Brian Christopher's grave this morning. Did you send an ornament for the tree? Well, I will have an ornament for the tree. I saw the tree this past weekend. On my way back from Florida, I stopped to visit with the King for 2 days. Got there just in time for the Browns game on Saturday and watched the Browns game. King and Lauren are in New York City right now, and there's not going to be a podcast about Friday night. But the King and took Lauren to New York City this week. They're there right now. I think they're at they were at the Rockettes earlier today, and they're going to see Aladdin tonight. So I think right now they are at Aladdin. So, yes, Steve Rogers, this is the mic. This is my mic that I use each and every week. I bring on the road with me to a Jerry's. So, so I got there Saturday, watched the Browns game. We hung out, did all Jerry's cameos. If you want a cameo from the King, you can go to Cameo, search Jerry Lawler. You can get a cameo from me. Now mine's is least inexpensive compared to the King's, but you can get a video chat, birthday, Christmas, whatever. But anyway, King had a bunch of those. So we did cameos. We hung out till about 2 a.m. And Sunday we hung out. I think we ordered pizza, watched some Browns game, well, not the Browns game, some NFL games. But I did see Brian Christopher's tree that Lauren put together and Jerry put together, and a lot of people from the wrestling world have donated. I know Raven. Raven is one guy that donated an ornament, and there's a lot of different ornaments on there. I'll let Jerry talk about it if he wants to talk about it. But the tree is real nice. They're real nice. It's a thing that Jerry can put up each and every year to make feel like Brian's there. Brian's there for the holiday, and there's a little red wagon underneath the tree. So with Brian and Jerry's action figure from early in the 90s, so that's on there. So it's I've seen the tree. So Sabretooth fan. Yes, I'm actually getting an ornament to put on there, and that will always go up each and every year. Jerry and Lauren put a tree up, so it's all decked out in Steelers. It's black and gold with Steelers stuff on it too. It's Steeler ornaments. So really nice little tribute to Brian. Let's see. Let's read some of the comments here because I'm here for you guys. Let's see. Never go anywhere without the gear. That's true. I mean, it's a little Zoom. This is what I record on. This is a little behind the scenes stuff. If I can get the cord here. But this is a little Zoom I record on. So obviously I have a little bit more cords for when Jerry and I are together or he's on the phone. And I have my headphones and everything on. That's a little device. So it comes with a little case. I can take it anywhere. And I remember I started 10 years ago doing podcasting. Really quick, the Boss Crushers. Just want to say, Dinner with the King podcast are pretty good, but listening since show 1, keep up the good work. I appreciate that, man. You know, a lot of people sometimes when I go with King to these Comic Cons and these shows, a lot of people will say, listen to the podcast, and I love the podcast, and it just makes King happy, because King thinks podcasts are, nobody listens to them. You know, what's a podcast? But yeah, King loves when people say they listen to the podcast, so that's good. Let's see. So, this little Zoom I can take anywhere with me. And 10 years ago, when I started podcasting, doing sports stuff, mainly sports shows, which I need to get my sports podcast back up and running, Cleveland Sports Centric. I was in the sports media for a long time as well. But, to do a show like this, I would need like 2 laptops, a big mixer, cords everywhere, like my tower from my computer and a laptop, a different webcam because the webcam would suck. I would need like all these different bells and whistles just to do a show like this. But for here, all I need is my little Zoom plugged in the computer with a USB adapter, my microphone plugged in, and I have the video from the MacBook, which works out great. It's great. Absolutely love it. It's easy to do. And I can broadcast anywhere I want as long as I have strong internet connection. So it's terrific. I love it. More people in the chat room. Let's see. Gregory White, True Grit. Hello, Chris. Mayfield, Rookie of the Year. Has to be Rookie of the Year. Dustin Glenn, thanks for letting me know. I got the answer to the question on last week's show about Kerry's second at Superclass Schley 3. Oh, it was Frank. Yeah, we had a brain fart. Ethan King has made me a fan of many things over the years. The Browns are the latest. Well, there you go, Ethan. The podcast is awesome. It gets me through a long day at work. Nick, I really appreciate it, man. Randy Hales is here. I know Randy Hales on his Facebook page. There's a lot of Memphis wrestling deep dives. And it's good to see Randy here in the chat room. Make sure to check out Randy Hales' podcast on podavenue.com/Hales if you want to even get more in depth about Memphis wrestling and also Power Pro wrestling. Make sure to check out Randy's podcast with Sean Reedy. And like I said, podavenue.com/Hales for all the links. Randy, good to see you in here, man. Sabretooth fan between King and Bruce Pritchard. I get through a workday. A True Grit, Eddie Austin. Eddie Austin. He is like the official intern of Dinner with the King, Eddie Austin. Because if I have any questions, it's I go to him. Him and Antonio Braxton are like the official interns of Dinner with the King, because they're like my go-to guys when it comes to if I need a answer for anything Memphis wrestling history. So Eddie Austin, good to see you in here too, man. So if you want to jump in the chat, like I said, I know a lot of people are watching right now. Make sure to jump in the chat and we'll talk about wrestling, life, sports, anything you want to talk about. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. If you want to know about the King or my relationship with Jerry Lawler, go ahead and ask anything you want about the King. Just make sure to keep it PG. I don't care. So coming up this week, I'm like, King is in New York City, and he's auditioning for Kinky Boots. He's doing a nice audition in New York City for Kinky Boots. He's putting on those red glitter boots, and I think right now he's dancing around with those red kinky boots. No, I'm kidding. King is not. King is not trying out for Geeky Boots. I think that's coming past. There is someone famous that actually is going for Kinky Boots to play on Broadway. And if you don't know what Kinky Boots is, just do a simple Google search. It's a play about men and high heels and kinky boots. But King is not doing that, I promise. But I'm waiting for the reaction to that. People actually thinking about thinking King is trying for Kinky Boots. But no, King is in with Lauren. They're having a great time for Lauren's B-Day. I want to give a special shout out to Mark, who actually lives in New York City and hooked up King with a nice hotel and some Rockette tickets. So Mark, if you're watching, or you watch this in the future, because you can watch this archive of this in the future. I might put the audio up on the King Dinner with the King podcast page as well. So I might do that as well. But King is in New York City, so the podcast will be released on Friday this week, and we have another. Well, last week we tried. Okay, so last week was going to be the first week of our guest host, and Ethan and Daniel. Those are two guys that have multiple Dinner with the King co-host guest spots. So they're end of the month, and then I have one last week, which was a new guy to get him in, and he got shy. He didn't respond because he was scared to go on. He had a topic to talk about, and he just got stage fright, which I get it. You never hosted a podcast, you're not on the never done anything entertaining, which is no slight to you. You're gonna talk to Jerry Lawler, which if you're watching this or you watch Dinner with the King YouTube clips or you listen to the podcast, you're a Jerry Lawler fan. So of course, you're going to get a little bit shy when it comes to actually being a part of the show when you have hundreds of thousands of people listening. I mean, like I said, we get 6 digits when it comes to downloads each and every week. And people can be ruthless. When I first started podcasting, we're doing like live shows. I did a live sports show. People were brutal, man. People were brutal. People make fun of you, and look at me. I'm open to any kind of criticism. I'm easy pickings when it comes to that kind of stuff from people on the internet behind a username. But yeah, so he got stage fright. So I said, okay, man, we're going to push you to the back of the line. Get all set. If you want to do it, great. If not, we'll figure something out for you, on the side to get your money's worth, because the people do pay to get on Dinner with the King. So this week we have another newbie. Dave Dynasty is going to be co-hosting the show this week with myself and Jerry, and he likes old school wrestling with like Dick the Bruiser and people like that. So it's going to be a good episode. So Dave Dynasty is a co-host, and then in the coming weeks we have hardcore Dinner with the King fans, hardcore people who want to guest host, not just one, not just two, but a few of the shows. So looking forward to those as well. Of course, Patreon. I got to promote the Patreon. I know. Get a little more comfortable here. Patreon, people can support $4 from all the way up to more. So if they want. Right now, I'm posting on the Patreon only, and you have to pay to see, is a page a day of King's Book of Insults. And he did this way back in the day. He only has one copy of the Book of Insults. And so I posted the cover on the Patreon page yesterday. I posted a page 1-2 of the Book of Insults. And I'll be posting, 1 or 2 pages a day. So a lot of great one-liners in there. And King only has one copy, a little bit torn too. King has one copy left, so I'll be posting those throughout the week. Let's go to the chat room. Takes thick skin sometimes. It does. It takes thick skin, definitely. Don't forget about those mystery boxes. That's true. King he's holding up on promoting that because of the holidays. He doesn't want to do any work during the holidays. So wait until after the new year to get those mystery boxes in. How is the weight loss journey going, by the way? Oh my God. Do we have to talk about that? Sabretooth fan, you had to bring up the weight loss journey, did you? Well, it's not looking too good, as you can see. I don't know if I'll be making the WrestleMania challenge, to be honest. It's a few months away. I can't believe it's been almost a year since that challenge. With traveling and just the last 6 months have been hectic for me personally. I know it's not an excuse, because you can always find a way to not keep shoving food in your mouth and actually doing some working out. So it's I need a miracle. Let's put it that way. I definitely need a miracle, Sabretooth. Let's see. I'll get in there. King will be taking on his old rival Tommy Rich in Jackson, Tennessee on January 5th. You coming for the show? Well, I'm going to be with the King after Christmas for New Year's, because last year we celebrated at his bar and grill on Beale Street. Had a bottle of champagne, was hanging out, was schmoozing with people at the bar and grill with Jerry. I'm not sure what we're doing this year, but I'm definitely going to be with the King on New Year's. And I might stick around to go to that show, Eddie. So I might see you there, man. Tim, I lost about 30 pounds and it has stalled. Yeah, it's hard, man. And, I can post some pictures of myself when I was in college. I played baseball, football all my life. And when you stop doing that, you get older and you sit behind a computer all day, which is what I do and write. It catches up to you. You can't eat how you used to eat. And it's just depressing. It definitely is depressing. And then you eat because you're depressed. So you're depressed about how much you eat, but then you eat more because you're depressed. We're getting real here. We're getting real. Do the King wants to come back to Raw full time? WWE announcers ain't the same without him. The Bone Crusher, Boss Crushers. I'm sorry, I keep singing Bone Crusher, like the rapper. Wasn't there a rapper called the Bone Crusher? I don't know if the King wants to go back full time. I'm sure he would be flattered if it was offered to go back full time. But I think King is comfortable where he's at now, doing indie appearances, still wrestling, also doing Comic Cons. I think he's comfortable doing that. That's all I'll say. But I'm sure he would be flattered, and he loves making appearances. So I think if the position was right, maybe he would. Weight loss is easy if you order an original King drawing of yourself with weight trimmed off. Ethan, that's great. That's great. Brandon, there you go, Brandon. I'll call you Brandon from now on, Sabretooth. If you were in charge of Raw, what improvements would you make? All right, this is a good question. I love wrestling. I'm more of an old school guy when it comes to wrestling. I prefer, great matches are awesome, but it has to be some kind of reason why these two guys are fighting or why these tag teams are fighting. There has to be a reason. Yeah, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan is a great wrestling match, but why are they fighting? Why Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins? Why are they fighting? And a perfect example is Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. Okay, Dean and Seth, I think they're great guys. They're great in the wrestling ring. Okay, and Dean Ambrose turned on Seth Rollins. Okay, he turned on them hard. Friends, even on the same night that Roman Reigns announces he has leukemia. And the first things these guys do when they have their first match after this happened at a pay-per-view is they lock up and do rest holds. Like, these guys should be brawling all over the arena, all over the ring. This should have been a TLC match itself, a street fight match, have them out in jeans, just like the old-fashioned guys. When there's a street fight, the guys wrestling have to be wearing jeans. That's the rule. But instead, they go out and they do a lockup, like it's a regular wrestling match when a guy turned on him. There's no storytelling. It's it's just, there's so much wrong with watching Raw, and I watch it because I'm a big wrestling fan. I've been watching since I was 13 years old. So for 23 years of my life, which is almost 70% of my life, it's been wrestling every Monday night. When I was a kid, watching Raw every Monday night. No matter if I was having a good day, good week, bad year, I know every Monday night I can watch Raw. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's hard to watch. Let's see. Is King a Grizzlies fan or a Cavs fan? He's a Grizzlies fan. He's not a big basketball guy. Football, baseball, and Browns, Indians for King, but he'll support the Grizzlies. Randy Hales, the first time we met was at the club on New Year's 2017. I believe that's true too, because I came down to Memphis in 2015 and I was only here for a day. And that was the first time I came to Memphis down there. And then I went down there for 2017 for New Year's, which was back in January, almost a year ago. So yeah, that was when we met, Randy. I would say it's the club was a lot more fun when you were there, Randy. I'll tell you that. What do you think about the Vince's announcement? I love seeing Vince, JP. I love seeing Vince in there every week. I don't think he wants to do that. I don't think that's probably going to happen. But I love Vince, and I'll watch because of Vince. Okay, I'll call you too. I'll call you Brandon too. Simply Deep. Storytelling. Yep. True, Brandon. Miss the territory days. I grew up in Florida watching The Dream, baby. Book King over Lesnar at WrestleMania. Definitely. Billy Fryman. Is the King coming to the Lexington Comic-Con in Lexington, Kentucky? I am not sure. I'm not sure what the King's book is looking for 2019. I'm not sure. And that could be when I could be heading out with him too. Let's see. I'm looking at the chat room. Adam just had his message retracted. So the storyline suffered because they have to stick to their codes. What about the women's evolution? If you want to call it that, what improvements would you make? Storytelling. I love Ronda Rousey. I think Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair at Survivor Series was like the perfect, not just women's match, but the perfect match. It was amazing. Rousey is awesome. And any wrestling purist or wrestling mark on the internet that, oh, she hasn't put her dues in. She just came for UFC. Well, she's more qualified than some girl on the street that wants to be a wrestler. She's been fighting all her life. Walk away from Raw, bro. You'll be surprised how easy is it to do. Well, I mean, I tried that, man. And I always come back. July 7th, Jake the Snake will be doing a stand-up here in Memphis. Oh, Brandon. Maybe I'll stay for that too. Not sure if the King would go. Oh my God. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? Oh my, I'm thinking, okay, Brandon, thank you for that tidbit. I got my gears running. I might have to whip out the second and third mic for a special podcast. Oh my God, wouldn't that be great to get the King and Jake the Snake Roberts on a Dinner with the King podcast episode? Whew. That'd be great. Thank you for that, Brandon. Is the King coming down for the Royal Rumble when it comes down to Phoenix? Making any appearances? Well, King is definitely going to Phoenix. He will be there. And I'm not sure if he's doing any appearances for the Royal Rumble, but I know he will be there doing the pre-show. Do you think the style of booking that Triple H does in NXT will translate to the main roster? I don't think NXT booking works for the main roster. NXT is such a niche. I know it has a ton of followers, but and fans, but NXT is a show that will last an hour, and there's only 3 or 4 major feuds that they're doing at a time. It's easy to do that when you only have 3 major feuds to work with. And, you know, these people, NXT wrestlers are in Orlando all day long. You know, they do travel on the weekend to shows, but they live, breathe, and eat NXT. It's easy to have chemistry. It's easy to do that when you're all grouped together in Orlando at the Performance Center, you know, working on stuff, working on the shows, and you only have an hour to do it. It's quick. It's bam, bam, bam. It's a lot better. Well, where the main roster, you have 3 hours. There's a ton of guys, ton of ladies, and you only have a certain amount of time to do it. And you don't know what you're doing until you get there, until you fly to the city. It's a lot different. I don't think NXT style would translate to the main roster because it's 2 different monsters. Panini. Oh, she's here from Thailand. The biggest Memphis wrestling fan ever. That's located in Thailand. She will listen to a show and she will comment on the show exactly 1 hour and 20 minutes after the podcast has been released. Hardcore fan. I hope you like your Christmas box, Panini, and all your I hope I'm saying your name right. Please send me like a pronunciation so I can say it right, because that's how Jerry and I say it when your name comes up. And yes, your name does come up. Tim, I don't really follow WWE. Born to Ring of Honor, New Japan. See, I can't get into that. I can't get into Ring of Honor, New Japan. What do you think of Burt Prentice's new Championship Wrestling? There are a few goofs, but it's not been too bad. I've seen a couple episodes when the King was on. It's it's an indie promotion. You know, he does have, I think, a TV deal, so that's good. Start. Let's see. Dinner with the King for WB Network. You know, woo, that'd be great. That'd be great to get maybe some live stuff, some video stuff. That'd be terrific. Favorite podcast moment? King, Glenn, and Cornette talking about Buff Bagwell as a male gigolo. That, if you're watching this, that full conversation is on this YouTube page. It's one of the top most most viewed clips for the podcast. And that clip of Jerry talking about Vince, the drawing that Jerry did for Vince from Shane and Vince Sr. Man, that thing has really taken off, like 200,000 views in the past 2 weeks, which is great. I think it's the number one viewed video on the YouTube channel. Tim, I agree. We can listen to Cornette for hours and hours. Got to get him back on. We got to get Cornette back on. I want to get some more people from Memphis back on. Adam wants to know if the investigation into Brian's passing is still ongoing. I know Jerry did an interview with Chief Local 24 in Memphis about it. Jerry hasn't heard anything new. There's been no update or correspondence with anybody from the investigation, and it's still ruled what it was ruled a few months ago. It's there's been nothing new. So, to answer your question, Adam, that's basically the answer, because there's nothing new. It's still open investigation. Let's see. Like the King all the time. That get the check, run a run. Got to get this chat made into regular video on the channel. I agree, Steve. Any chance for CM Punk to appear on the podcast? Well, I could call CM Punk right now. I do have CM Punk's number. Let's see. We can give CM Punk a call if he would like. I'm sure he wouldn't answer it. He probably wouldn't want to do that. I don't think CM Punk wants to do podcasts anymore. The last podcast. See you, Tim. Have a Merry Christmas. The last podcast CM Punk didn't end up too well. It ended up costing CM Punk millions of dollars. So I don't think CM Punk wants to do any podcast, no matter if it's hosted by the King or not. Don't think it'd be any chance for that, Brad. Should have Cornette on with a Trump supporter to see if Cornette has a heart attack and argue with him. Oh, my God. Here's a story for you. I know we talked about it on the show a little bit, but King and I were at the Louisville Comic-Con about 2 weeks ago, and Cornette was there. Cornette's there. And, Cornette and King love each other. They're great. They're friends. When Cornette starts talking politics, there's people standing around. I seriously thought these two guys, Cornette and the King, were going to go at it. I thought they were going to go at it like fisticuffs. I thought they were going to go at it because Cornette's ripping on Trump and Jerry is defending Trump. And, the one thing Cornette said was Cornette said a while back, oh, if any of my friends support Trump, I'll never talk to them again. They're not my friend anymore. And then Jerry shows up at the Trump rally So that everybody's like, Cornette, the king is a Trump supporter. What are you going to do? Never talk to the king again? Which not going to ever happen. I mean, is Cornette going to, you know, mother F Jerry the King Lawler? Heck no. So you see him going at it, talking. If we got King and Cornette talk politics to each other, the world would explode. Call Buff Bagwell. I don't have Buff Bagwell's number. Ask Punk how Cole Ben is doing these days. So you're Team Colt, huh? Let's see. Hey, King. Hey, Glenn. Good to see you. Hey, Chris. Thanks for joining the chat. Let's see. Billy Farmer. Did the King ever wrestle Bob Blackland? Oh, that's a good question. Eddie Austin's in the chat room. I'm sure Eddie could get that answered right away. Let's see. Let's read through this chat room here too. I'll tell you what, I can get a hold of Buff for you. Oh, you can, huh? Thai names may be too hard for you to pronounce. Well, can I call you PJ? We'll call you PJ. How about that? Oh, the first episode with Terry Funk was great too. We got Terry on the line for the first one, and there was like no show prep, nothing. These guys didn't, all they had a match coming up, and they put over the match. But other than that, there was no planning. There was no, no planning at all, which was great. They just went out and they had an entertaining half-an-hour podcast. The setback. I mean, it was just terrific. And Terry will randomly call me too, just to talk. It's great. Let's see. I'm just looking to see this chat. This is great though. I should have been doing YouTube videos like this for a long time. Maybe I'll do this a weekly thing. Just sit here and talk with you for 45 minutes. I'll stay here as long as people are here. I have nothing else better to do other than play Fortnite. Let's see. I'm going to say that PJ will be fine. Okay, thank you. Terry Funk is the only person I legit don't know if his insanity is a work or a shoot. Terry Funk, when we talk on the phone, is one of the most sane men I've ever talked to in my life. He pulled off the crock pot old ad. It was just great. Chris, Terry Funk is terrific. Terry Funk is amazing. Let's see. I'm going to go to my Twitter. You can follow if you're if you're on YouTube. I know we have thousands of people on YouTube that follow the podcast, or they subscribe for the clips and whatnot. But if you go to our YouTube, our Twitter channel, Twitter profile, twitter.com/dinnerwithking, you can follow along, and just putting it out there again that we're live. You can follow me on Twitter at GlenmoreCLE. Now, I know a lot of you probably came on here. Where's Jerry Lawler? Why, Jerry is the star of Dinner with the King. Well, Jerry has all the stardom. But when it comes to video and production value, Jerry doesn't have that. And you know what? Maybe the next time that I'm with Jerry, we'll do a video thing together. And Jerry can promote that. That'd be great. I think we'll definitely do something like that. Maybe for the new year. We'll do a live, like one of these, but with King sitting next to me. I think that'd be great. Eddie Austin, they had a match in the late 90s. Late 90s, okay. Let's see. Hi, Glenn. Hey, Daniel. Adam, maybe I missed it, but have you guys done an episode on USWA Dallas yet? I don't think we talked about Dallas that much. There is a lot of things that Jerry and I would love to talk to Jerry about. And there's a lot of topics that people send in that they want to hear, or they say, oh, you've done 80 episodes of the podcast and you haven't talked about this yet. King is 69 years old, and some things he doesn't remember. 30 years ago, he doesn't remember. It's like asking Mark McGuire or Barry Bonds, hey, remember that home run you hit on April 5th, 1994? they're not going to remember. You remember it because it's a big part of your past when it comes to that person, but the person that did it doesn't remember that home run. Sometimes I have to brush the king up on some things. So, there are some things I want to talk about with him. But it's not, it's what am I going to do? Ask him. He's going to say, I don't know. I'll never do a podcast and ask him about something and keep it in there. If he says, I don't know, it's just not worth it. Speaking of Cornette, will we ever hear that outtake you had to remove from the Saudi Arabia instructions for the first event in the kingdom? Oh my God. I do have that. Audio. It's in a safe folder on my hard drive. And that will not, that would be great to put out there. I got to ask King, though. I mean, it has almost been a year. But it had to be almost a half an hour of stuff going over the list. And, maybe I think enough time has passed. I don't think Jerry's going to get invited to go over there because I think that was a one-time thing. So who knows? Maybe I can convince Jerry so I can publish it on YouTube and maybe play the podcast. You know what, Boss Crusher? I did think about getting my hard drive, plugging it in, and playing it for you here on the show, but I don't need a angry phone call from Jerry because I know people would tag Jerry on it. Come on, play. I know. I love to hear it too, Daniel. I know. Checked Backlund matches from '92. Okay, so early '90s. That's what I thought. It's also on YouTube. Well, what else is going on? Everybody having a good holiday season? Whatever holidays you celebrate or you don't celebrate, everybody having a good year? What are some goals for 2019, folks? What are some goals for yourself? Goals for the podcast for 2019. Get more guests. I have a lot of phone numbers that I need to get a hold of people to come on. I've texted Stone Cold Steve Austin twice and left him a voicemail, and he has not called me back. Stone Cold, call me back, bro. Hit me up. I left a voicemail for you, man. Trying to get you on the podcast. Stone Cold. Got to call The Rock. John Cena is going to be in Memphis on January 14th for when Raw is in Memphis. John Cena would be a great guest because he's a big fan of the classic wrestling, Memphis, the territories. John Cena is a historian when it comes to, professional wrestling and the classic professional wrestling. He is a historian. He knows his stuff. Him and King could probably talk for days about stuff. So Cena would be great. Let's see who else. I'm trying to get Vince. I want to get Vince on. Vince McMahon. I keep begging King. I mean, Vince will do a podcast. We can record it at 3 a.m. when he's up. 3 a.m. He's up texting you happy birthday. Let's do a podcast. That'd be great. Oh yes. Jerry Jarrett podcast. Sean texted me to get back to him. Sean Reedy, we're going to do a crossover podcast with the King and Jerry Jarrett. And maybe we'll do a couple of hours. The first hour we posted on Darren There with the King. Maybe the second hour we posted on Jerry Jarrett's podcast platform. Little crossover. That would be great. Let's see. I'm looking in the chat room. Simply Deep. I hear a Southern accent from you. Am I right? I don't know. I mean, I'm not from the South. I'm Cleveland, Ohio. I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, some words, maybe I say a little bit Southern, but the little Southern accent has rubbed off on me. Staying down in Memphis, for the few months that I did. Do you and the King have access to his Memphis archive for the podcast since it's on WWE Network? Yes. He has all the DVDs and VHS tapes. It's like boxes full of stuff that I probably need to go through make sure it's properly archived and labeled. I would ask you something, but non-wrestling related, but I don't want to be a bother. You can ask me anything you want, Simply Deep. The guests are great, but I really enjoy the King and you solo. Oh, I appreciate that, Daniel. Crossover podcast, yeah, we're doing that. We're doing that. Also, if Randy's still here, gotta get Randy back on. I think Randy wants Jerry on his show too. Can we get Triple H on the podcast? I don't know about that. Yeah, I can call Triple H, but I don't think Triple H does podcasts. A Vince podcast would be perfect. It'd be brilliant. Oh, it would be. I would love it. I would be just they could talk. I mean, Vince and King would be great for a podcast. Vince, just give me a half an hour. That's all we need. Please, Vince. Tweet at Vince McMahon if you want Vince on the podcast. Meet the King. Finally, he wants to meet the King for his 2019 goal. Gotta get Kenny Bolin. Maybe we get Kenny Bolin back on one time. You can ask the question, Simply Deep. Ask it. Cornette has made hints at a story of Lance Russell and King trying to edge Jarrett out once. Do you know the story, or is too sensitive to tell? You know, as far as I know, Jerry and King don't have any problems. They're buddies. Jerry came to Brian Christopher's, funeral and stuck around for the kind of like the family and friends portion. Whatever happened back then happened, but I don't know about that, Ethan. I don't know. What's your opinion on movies that show men in embarrassing situations caused by either a practical joke or a sleazy mind game by some chick that will get you laughed at? What are your opinions on them? Give me a movie that give me an example. Simply Deep. Billy Fryman. Has Bill Dundee been on the podcast? Bill Dundee is one person that I love to get back, get on the podcast. But he hasn't been on. There's a list of people that I want on the podcast, but only in person. I'm not going to do phoners with like a Bill Dundee, a Dave Brown. I want people that have a strong hold of connection with Jerry for his Memphis ties to be on the podcast in person. Randy is one of them. We had Randy in person. Love to get Randy back on for a little bit more in-depth discussion. That'd be great. Just give me a movie, Simply Deep. Rob Van Dam would be a cool guest. Well, he would be a cool guest, but what kind of connection does Rob Van Dam have with Jerry Lawler other than like the ECW invasion or the indie scene? Try to get people that have a strong connection with Jerry, like The Rock got to start with Jerry. Stone Cold wrestled in Memphis, he's more old school. Vince is Vince. You should probably stay away from the subject of current Memphis wrestling. Oh my God. Okay, there's like 3 people that maybe got upset about our discussion on the current state of Memphis wrestling. And a lot of people agreed with what we talked about. And I don't get people who were offended by that. Memphis wrestling is, pretty much dead. There's no promotion running shows, that have any kind of recognition. And I know it's Randy Hales is here. I know Chris, Randy Hales is here. He was here. He's been here the whole time. But Randy, it's I don't want to piss anybody off because I know everybody's so sensitive about the current state of Memphis wrestling. And, I'm not from Memphis, I only know what I read and what I watch on YouTube. But from an independent wrestling fan like myself, I do enjoy some independent organizations, especially one up in Cleveland. When I go to Memphis and I'm there for 3 months, and the only show I go to is one in Handy Park that is free, and pretty much nobody showed up. Only people there were a few people that came, and mainly homeless people. That's a sad state of Memphis wrestling. I don't care who was wrestling, King, whoever. It's a sad state, and it deserves better. And I know Kevin Lawler is trying to get this thing restarted, trying to get him, re-up and running. I'm going to help out as much as I can with Kevin. More social media promotion, get a website up and running for him. Try to get, more of an outreach for Memphis Wrestling for his promotion, Wildfire Wrestling. Because it deserves, Memphis deserves to have some kind of hotbed for wrestling, and there is none. And yeah, the Grizzlies can have a wrestling night. Doesn't mean your actual promotion. You're not putting on shows. You're wrestling in section 250 for a 5-minute match. It's not a promotion. But, people want to see the King when they come out, and Bill Dundee and all these people come out. But there has to be some kind of actual promotion, like when I used to go to the Cleveland, indie promotion, they would bring people from all over the country, the indie stars, and wrestle. And then, some of these guys are going to NXT. Some are on the main roster for WWE now. You got to bring people like that in. And I know there's a lot of people in Memphis that would go to indie show that would have like, Omega or Young Bucks or whoever, if they wrestled, have some local people there as well to get them more exposure. Have a couple of the legends come in for autograph appearances. I mean, if you get 500 people to an indie show, that's great. I think that's decent, especially in this day and age. But everybody's in the old time thinking, or they want to put themselves over. They just want to put themselves over. But there is not one really person from Memphis on the indie scene that I can say, okay, he can go to Ring of Honor, or he can go to, Gorilla Pro in LA and wrestle there for a show, or they can go to Florida and wrestle in the top, indie promotions in Florida. There's nobody from Memphis that does that. At least I don't think so. If there is, I haven't been exposed to it. So, and I'm on social media a lot. I keep in tabs with what's going on. Let's see. Are there businesses in Memphis that King didn't land his name to at some point? That's true. Kamala on the podcast. Oh, I'd love to get Kamala back. Kamala back in the public eye and get him on the podcast. I heard he's not doing too good. I heard someone said that he was just waiting to die, which is not good. We got to get Kamala back up and running. You're right, Brandon. The crowd did beef up a little bit when the King came out. But it's depressing, man. And you know what? The King deserves to be wrestling in front of a big crowd. And I feel bad for King as a fan, not as a friend, but as a fan, him wrestling in some park in front of 12 people and 6 of them are homeless. King deserves better. Memphis wrestling deserves better. Let's get some people who are going to draw. I don't care if they have when it comes to the TV show, a TV deal, you have this. I can broadcast from anywhere. If I want to charge 99 cents, you could do that to watch. Why can't wrestling promotions do that for their shows? Do a streaming service, sell DVDs, sell merch, do online stuff. You're not going to do it posting to 1,000 fans on Twitter. You got to put the work in. You got to book the right people. If the promotions would use different guys and not have a wrestler working heel one day and a babyface, yeah, I agree. There has to be more people. That's why you bring outside people in. You got to spend money to make money. There has to be an investor that will willing to, really put some money behind it, book some guys that are going to draw. And you got to have a show on a regular basis. You can't just have one big show and then nothing for 2 months. It has to be a constant. Every last Thursday, every month, there's going to, last Friday, every month, there's going to be a Memphis wrestling show at this place. Let's see. I'm just reading these comments. What drove Memphis wrestling back in the day was a Saturday morning show. I agree. And they go that pushes to the show in the Coliseum. I totally agree. But in this day and age, you don't need a TV show. You can reach more people through this little camera here. Put your shows on YouTube. People are watching more on their phones and the computer more than the television. Glenn, how about guided tours of the Coliseum by the King? King can get in the Coliseum anytime he wants. But tours, I think that's a little bit more iffy because of liability stuff. Porky's, American Pie, and Full Monty. Well, I love those movies, so I don't have a problem with those. Simply Deep. Doesn't really matter to me. I've seen the King and Jeff Jarrett wrestle the Moondogs in Missouri. Oh, that was great. That was like a remake. Yeah, the concession stand match. Not as good as the original, but definitely a classic. I know you can't get Randy Savage for the podcast. Well, of course. Lanny the Genius. That'd be great. Weekly would be preferable. Yeah, I get that, Brendan, but I think you start off with once a month. Wrestling was like that here in UK for years, but look at it now. Just took some underground promotions to take risks. That's exactly what it is. It takes one promotion. If one promotion steps up and really takes it by the balls and here and there, in any kind of territory, like here in Cleveland and they're there in Memphis or even here in Ohio, it helps all the rest of the promotions out there in that area. Marco Stunt is from Memphis. Is he from Memphis? Really? Really, man? Randy? He has a little unique gimmick, no pun intended. Imagine how great a podcast with Macho Man and King would have been. Oh, my God. That would have been great. Jeez. And I kicked myself. I kicked myself for not having a podcast with, King and Brian and a podcast with King and Lance Russell. That's when I'm going to get these guys on because you never know. You never know what could happen. Well, we done an hour here. I really appreciate everybody watching, being part of this. Maybe I'll do this a little bit weekly, and then when I'm in Memphis, I'll get the King on. King will be sitting next to me. Again, follow us on Twitter at Dinner with King. If you're watching this in the archive, you can hit me up on social media at Glenmore CLE. New podcast this week will be on Friday because the King is in New York City until Thursday night with Lauren, celebrating Lauren's birthday. A little late gift for Lauren. And I really appreciate all the interaction. So tell everybody else on social media about Dinner with the King live videos, wrestling chat. I don't know what we'll call this. If you have a name for this, let me know. Maybe we'll use it. Dinner with the King after hour. Dessert with Glenn. How about dessert with Glenn? We have dinner with the King, but we have dessert with Glenn. How about that? Someone make a graphic for that. That'd be great. All right, Randy Hales, thank you for joining me in the chat, man. I watch. If you don't know that Randy does his deep dives, his video chats like this, but he goes for a lot longer than I do. You can. I think you can friend Randy on Facebook. I think it's just like a personal profile. I think they're all public that you can watch his videos. But just search Randy Hales on Facebook. You'll find him. And make sure to check out his Memphis. He has a deal going on for all Memphis to Power Pro Wrestling DVDs. So just follow him on Twitter too. He has links to his website and support Randy Hales because you can get the whole Power Pro, all the Power Pro Wrestling episodes on DVD. All of them. And he has a great deal going on too. Make sure to check out JP Diamond Hot Tracks with JP. Want to thank everybody who supports us on Patreon, and want to thank everybody in the chat room, everybody who follow us on social media, and I will see you guys on the flip side on Friday or on social media for another episode of Dinner with the King. So I could be updated about these if these going to be weekly, and we'll talk to you guys maybe next week. Later.